My topic today is to talk about how amazing leaders get the best out of their team. This is one of the very important questions that you need to grapple with as a leader. How do you get the best out of your followers? How do you get the best out of the people that work with you? How do you get the best out of people that work in your team, even broader than your team? Maybe you're running a department, maybe you're running a division, maybe you're running a company, maybe you're running an organization. How do you ensure that your people bring not only their hands, but they bring their heart and their minds into the workplace where you are supposed to execute and deliver on the mandate on which you are given? Now, this question has been debated, argued by scholars of leadership, and complex theories have come up on this question of how to do it. I just want to simplify it. It's just the way you speak to them. It's the way you communicate. I want to give you about 8 phrases that you practice to say them every day, daily, as you interact with your employees, with your subordinates, with your colleagues, with your friends, and even with your children and with your family members. Just say this. Let them part of your vocabulary. Before you know, people will be looking at you as an amazing leader. You don't need the complex MBA stuff for this one. You just need very simple phrases that you need to internalize. And when you say them, you must say them authentically and say them with passion and say them with empathy so that people can understand that you're not glibly saying them or you're just dismissing them, but you're saying them because you truly mean them. Now, the first one. I have confidence in you. In other words, you're saying, I have belief in your ability and I don't need to micromanage you. I trust you. You will deliver and I have got confidence in you. Now, let me tell you a little story. It's the story of my life. When I was a young boy, grew up in Katlehong. I went to Samson Primary School. Those that are in Katlehong know where Samson Primary School is, in Mapanga section. Big classes those time. About 120 of you in the class. Sometimes it's double classes. The teacher really doesn't have kind of ability to be close to a person or a student. And then I went to Tulisa. It was a better school. And then I went to Izibugo for my high school. But when I was about to do Standard 5, those who know Standard 5 of my age will know that, but for the younger ones, we'll say grade 7, and then Standard 6 would be grade 8. We went down to KZN. My grandfather took me to KZN and we went to a school. Now, let me just explain this. Right up until grade 6, which is Standard 4, I was passing with what we will call, in the language of the township, Madoda score. In other words, uyibambe nje with the last one. And you know, in the olden days, they used to have this kind of a program. You didn't get the reports. You will all stand in assembly, and each teacher of the class will count starting number 1, so and so, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. And then it will count up until number 56. And then maybe it says number 57, Maurice Radebe. And then he will say, after 60, all those that I didn't mention their names, they failed. So I will be there like number 57 or number 58, right through my schooling life, primary, and a little bit of high school, until I met in my grade 7 one teacher called Teacher Mangele. I want to give him credit. He's late now. May his soul rest in peace. He said these words to me when I came to that school in KZN. He said, so many times, Maurice, I have confidence in you. Maurice, you can do better. Maurice, I expect you to achieve even better. Maurice, you are capable. Wow. For the first time in my life, I had a teacher who was dedicated in unlocking my potential and unleashing to it. Wow. He had better expectations. He believed in me than I even believe in myself. You know what that did to me? Grade 7, I was in the top 3. Grade 8, for the first time in my life, I was number 1 in the class. And I couldn't believe it. Now, what's the moral of the story? Is that for almost better part of my primary school teaching, I was an average student because nobody cared about my confidence. I'm telling you, after that teacher Mangnele unlocked my potential throughout the whole high school, I just flew. And in the university, I succeeded. Why? Because somebody said, I have confidence in you. I urge you as leaders, this is the most important one. The rest are details. If you just show confidence on your staff, on your team, you will unleash their potential in a way that they would not even believe. I've seen this, I've done it with everyone that I meet, that I work with. It's working wonders. The second phrase that you have to use regularly is, what can we do better next time? Let me repeat it again. What can we do better next time? The reason you have to get used to this phrase is because people will make mistakes. People will fail in the assignment you've given them. And I do agree that you need to hold them accountable, but you need to understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. In fact, in my vocabulary, failure is a word that I do not include it at all. You either succeed or you learn lessons. So when somebody has made a mistake, I ask them, all right, what lessons have you learned? And then if somebody can articulate lessons learned, and then we agree, what can we do better? Even great CEOs like Jack Welch, if you look at their history, they made some serious mistake. In fact, he confessed them. And then he says to him, the biggest booster of his confidence is that when he had made a major mistake, his boss says, what have you learned? And what can we do better? At that point, he opened his eyes and he was able to say, wow, I've got a second chance. A third chance. That's number 2. Number 3, I want to play to your strength. I want to play to your strength. I don't want to play to your weaknesses. I don't want to put you in a role that forces you to operate on your weaknesses. If you're right-footed, I don't want you to be operating on left-footed. The same in a soccer team. The coach always makes sure that the guy who is strong on the left, he puts them on the left. And if a guy is good on the right, he puts him on the right. He doesn't put them vice versa. So the same with the workplace. You give somebody a job that is not in line with his strength, he is definitely you're setting him up for failure. So it's very important to have that very serious, intimate conversation with the people that work with you. What is your strength? Is this role playing on your strength? No. Let's find another role. Because in that way you treat people as uniquely talented and you don't force them on roles they are not suited for. Because that's a recipe for disaster and they'll be demotivated and you will never be able to succeed. The next one, what is your opinion? Just continuously get used to ask, what is your opinion? You know, I've seen bosses who like the sound of their voice. They speak in meetings right through. They call a meeting and you say, what was this meeting about? Because the guy was just talking. He was giving us his opinion and his opinion, and that's it. And then he closed the meeting. That's very, very undermining of people's confidence. You always have to ask, what is your opinion? When you say that, you're demonstrating that you've got faith in their mental capabilities, and you've got faith in their intellect, you've got faith in their ability to think. And trust me, people can think, and even better than you, come up with solutions that you have never thought about. In entire leadership experience that I've had, the best I always get is when I've called people, asked their opinion, and created an engagement that is robust, created an engagement that makes people to feel free. And at the end, I'm able to pick one or two ideas and then make a decision. And then from there, mobilize an action plan for us to execute. The next phrase that you must always have it in mind, how can I better support you? This means you're checking in on people's feelings, frustrations, and challenges, because people are human beings. They may have woke up in the morning, traveled by a taxi, and come home, come to work, and maybe they are hungry. Maybe they've got just challenges at work. Maybe they've got family challenges. They've got relationship challenges. They've got financial challenges. Maybe they are losing their house. Maybe their children are sick. Their children are sick. And you just need to check in with people. Don't just treat them as robots that come to work just for you. No. How can I better support you? It works. I've done it before. It's even work when you are in, particularly if you are working in a plant situation where it's extremely dangerous places to be and safety is a serious challenge. You got to make sure that you understand how people feel before they start a big task in operations. Because before you know, you will send people in an operation that is extremely dangerous. Before you know, you've got explosions, you've got people electrocuted or entering in a gas situation where they are overwhelmed by gas or leaks that will cause fire because you didn't check in with the people. The next one, which I always want to recommend, let me know if you've any questions. Any questions. Let the people feel that even after the meeting, you've got an open door policy where they can come and raise their problems, their difficulties, their challenges, so that when you've given people a task and they realize that they cannot execute before the deadline, they must come and give you early warning before the deadline arrives to say, I'm struggling with this, or I need assistance here, I need some support here, I need this tool, I need this program to help me in this. And that is very important. Let me know if you've got any questions. Let people feel they can approach you. Don't become a leader that is unapproachable. I remember again when I was at TEFLOP, we had a teacher, and those who were at TEFLOP will remember very well. There was a zoology teacher. Her name was Dr. Euster. As a young student, I was very keen to really understand. So I didn't understand in the class, and I go to her office and I make an appointment, and I come and ask her in her office. And I say to her, like, I didn't understand in the class, the lecture. And you know what she said? I do not repeat what I said in the class, so get out of my office. I took my bags, I left the office, and that was the last time I attended that class of zoology. Why? Because I didn't feel I can raise questions and problems. The most important one now, which I'm concluding with, is you've done a good job. You've done a good work. You've done a sterling job. deserve to get the credit. You know, giving recognition that is well deserved, in a way the employee is appreciating. Sometimes some employees don't want to be mentioned their names right there because, no, maybe it's the way it's just you walk into her office or his office and just say it to him. Or you write him a note, or you drop him an email, or you recognize them in the newsletter of the organization. Whatever is important for that person, it's so important to unlock their potential. And well, I've seen bad managers. I used to work in laminate industry when I was working hard as a youngster. In fact, that was my first job. And I was very keen and working hard. I was in a laboratory environment, doing tests, doing quality control, doing a lot of experiments. And I used to work until 8 o'clock in the night. And I would therefore go the following day, give my results and recommendations that needs to be made as a physics student. And my boss used to take my work and basically remove my name at the bottom of the report, put his name and submit it as his. And the recognition went to him, not to me. And that was stealing of the recognition. Do you think I stayed long in that company? No, I didn't. Very soon I realized, I'm not going to go far. Because I've got a boss who steals recognition. And don't be that boss, because you're going to lose talent. And there's too many bosses who steal recognition, but are quite happy to pass the blame when things go horribly wrong. So, in conclusion, I just want to say the way you can get the best out of your team is by what you say. It's so important that you understand the power of your words. The power of your words as a leader creates. The power of your words in your leader energize. The power of your word in your leader release intellectual capabilities. The power of your word makes people to have great motivation. The power of your word makes people to be loyal to you. Makes people to be loyal to the vision. Make people to bring everything to the assignment that they've been given. So you hold tremendous influence on the people that work with you. You either use it well to unleash their potential, or you use it badly and stifle their potential. The choice is yours. Thank you.
Principles are so important, and an ethical leader prioritizes principles over personal gain, and his or her value continuously enhanced over time.
If you think that you're going to run this on a rules basis, you'll find consistently the rules are insufficient. You've got to ultimately rely on the principles.
So the whole point of the board meeting is to deliberate on and to decide on matters within the ambit or the scope of the board. So Section 73 goes further to talk about how resolutions and voting is done. Each director has one vote, and a majority of votes in favor of a resolution means that the matter is approved.
When you damage a relationship, you are unethical. If you damage a relationship with your employer, with your shareholder, with your stakeholder, with a citizen of the country, or with the government, you are being unethical. Because you can do lots of things which is legal, but it's unethical.
If you are competent and not ethical, chances are you will commit sooner rather than later one of the sins that will actually nullify your competence. Doing right and avoiding wrong, it's all very well. But unless your leadership, your corporate governance rests on those two, you're not going to be a good leader.
Best thing to protect yourself is to let people know who you are. Disclosure is critical. Otherwise, you become a prisoner, a permanent prisoner.
People perceive, even if it's not the case, that your private friend may gain advantages because of the friendship that they have. If they became friends of mine, I would be harsher on them just to prove that that's not the case, which is unfair.
The importance of this program would be to kind of shape the future leaders and equipping us right now with the right corporate governance and ethical leadership steps on what to do. I feel like going forward in the future and in our leadership journeys, this is a good step.
With corporate governance, there's an opportunity for us to do things better in such a way that we build up and we create a system that continuously builds and uplifts.
I think we learned a lot about corporate governance, the creation of sustainable businesses that are stable, that will last generations, that we can hand over to our children for the future as well.
For us, it's easy to be interested in directorship without really understanding the consequences of that decision and how it affects not only the companies, how it affects societies, how it affects the economy of the country, the global politics and the global trade.
We certainly have a leadership gap in our continent, in our country, and this is an opportunity for young aspiring leaders, but also for seasoned leaders to start engaging on principles of leadership that will address this gap and hopefully have a positive impact on our future prospects as a country and a continent.